Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome. Hello, everyone. How are you? How are you? So glad you're here. It's your coach, Carla Nicole. I'm so glad to finally um, do this. So welcome. This is currently my wisdom show. I'm going to have every Sunday, and I'm going to try to tap on different topics, different subjects to help enhance people and enhance their love lives, their self life, their everything. So I'm really wanting you guys to share this. It's very important. I want you to make sure that you share this. This is very, very lucrative to many people that's really struggling with, just love lives, just living, period. Okay. So, welcome everyone. This is your coach, Carla Nicole. I do want to let you know that this won't be a very, very long show, but it will be very informative. Okay. If you don't know me, I am a wisdom coach. You can actually find me on my website, which is smileandsip.com. And I have so many things to offer. I do energy body work. I also, do virtual coaching, so you can be anywhere in the world, and I can coach you. It's not a problem. There's no location too far. So I do make sure to provide all of my clients and anybody that needs some type of assistance or has some concern about what they're having going on, that they can actually, reach out to me so that I can help them. So I just want to let you know it is not unheard of to go through some challenges and some changes, and it just feels like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get this right. But we will. We will. We just have to believe in it, and we have to be pretty strategic with what we do. Okay? So today's topic, I wanted to talk about, because I had some feedback that the topic that I talked about was very important to touch on. So I think it's important that I talk about that. And also, please feel free to share this. Like I said, share this video, subscribe to my channel. My channel is Coaching Matters. And also be sure to hit the bell so that you can make sure that you get the notifications when I do go live. I never know if I might do a pop-up show, so that can happen. And if you're not getting the notifications, you'll miss out. So I do want to make sure that I do that. So anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about some things that I think is very instrumental for life. And it's been a challenge, I think, for many people to try to come to terms with understanding certain things in relationships. So, trust issues. Can we start with that? Trust issues. Trust issues. Many people are struggling with their trust in their lovers. They're struggling with trusting someone else's honesty, someone else's authenticity, someone else, period. They're just having a hard time with trust. So I wanted to talk about the trust issues and how to actually make the trust issues go away to where they're not so much of an issue or so much of a challenge. To that, it doesn't take much. It just really requires for us to be kind of strategic so that we know how to make sure that we don't get too caught up in somebody else and what they're not doing. Okay, so think about that for a moment. So the first thing is, as a coach, anytime I'm in the presence of a new client, I usually ask them pretty specifically, if I was to bring in my monitor right now and basically hook you up to the monitor, to actually gauge where your self-love is. Would your gauge read high or very, very low on a scale of 1 to 10? The reason I ask this question is because many people don't realize that it's vitally important that we understand that our self love has not really been taught, and our self love has been a challenge for many of us to get used to actually practicing. Yes, I did say practice. Self love requires practicing and evolution of, self love doesn't happen overnight. We have to be strategic on how we plan to really invest in our love of self. It's not something that just happens because we're here. You know what I mean? It really requires for us to sit down and be strategic as to how am I making sure that I am definitely loving myself properly. So before we start on that, I ask that question to all of my clients to make sure that I really insert the thought in their mind. Is it very common that you are focusing on your love of self? If you are, great. If you're not, that's concerning. So here's what I want you to think about. The first question that I ask is, if I pull this monitor up to you right now, what is your level of self-love going to show me? Is it extremely low or is it extremely high? And 9 times out of 10, if you're coming to me, it's going to be pretty low. And it's okay. Don't get all razzled all over the place about it. It's just what it is. So I want you to think about something. So our love of self is compromised, normally because of our own personal self-doubt. So I want you to write down something. Self-doubt. So self-doubt is something that a lot of us struggle with in the beginning of understanding how important it is to love ourselves. Um, 9 times out of 10, we are taught to um, represent in some way. We're either representing in a role we're in as a young child. Either you're in this school, so you represent our school and our pride, or you are in this family, so you represent who we are in our family, or I am now in a relationship, so I represent his or her wife or husband. So we always have a role to actually, stay focused on. However, we really never sit down and think about, well, wait a minute, what about just me? What about just me? Who am I? Yet, if we don't hold a certain standard or don't hold a certain resonance of what we are so supposedly in, whether we're not doing so well as being a mother, or we're not doing too hot being a wife, or we're kind of not doing too well being in the pride of this school or whatever, what have you, what happens is we start to get very unsure about, well, yeah, I mean, I'm a part of that, but I mean, I'm not really loyal to it, if you will. So I want you to think about something. Write down self-doubt. And reason why I want you to write down self-doubt is I want you to underline that and think about, just like this, self-doubt. And think about, does self-doubt cause us to make certain decisions? What are our decisions? Are our decisions very shallow? Are our self-doubt decisions kind of compromising because we're unsure about things? How are we with decision making if we are constantly in self-doubt? Can we be honest about that? How are we doing when it comes to our decision making when we have a high amount of self-doubt going on in our living soul, right? So we need to think about this. And the reason why I say this is imperative to focus on before we even get into our trust issues of other people, our self-doubt is the main reason why we are struggling in our love affairs and in our relationships, okay? So let me explain why self-doubt is causing us to be very discouraging in our relationships. Number one reason is we lack confidence. Okay? So write that down as number one. The number one reason is we lack confidence. And when we lack confidence, we don't have self-assurance, which means we're kind of weak. We're unsure. We're just very concerned, worried a lot. have a high anxiety of what we're not, or what we think we should be, but we're not ranking too high in our own mind. Okay. So our lack of confidence is one of the reasons why we are not doing too hot in our love affairs. We're not doing very well in our love affairs because of our lack of confidence. Because it goes and comes from our self doubt. Okay? So our self doubt is really hindering us from making sound decisions. That's number one, or sound decisions. Okay? So the lack of confidence equals, shall we put a line from lack of confidence, equals poor choices. Okay? And it also causes us to make bad decisions. Okay? So when we have poor choices and bad decisions coming from our lack of confidence, we start to get very distrusting of ourselves. So now here's where it comes up, our distrust of self. See that? We have a distrust of self from our lack of confidence. Okay? It comes from our self doubt. And in the lack of confidence, it causes us to make poor choices and bad decisions. And now we have what? A distrust of self. Because we have a distrust of self, let me show you what happens. So we're not very trusting of self, but what we can say is, regardless of our distrust of self, in this lifetime, we are going to have attractions. We're going to find ourselves attracted to someone. We're going to find someone appealing. And a lot of times it's going to be mutual, right? We're going to have appealing, resonance with people, or we have an engagement, or we have some type of enjoyment with someone. So we're getting really kind of, in a liking of someone, right? However, even though in the beginning the distrust of self isn't surfacing, because we're pushing that aside because we're attracted to someone, right? And so when we're attracted, we don't think about someone actually, or think about us having a distrust of self. We don't think about that because we just see what we see and we like what we see. And so therefore we go from there and we go into our relationships. Now, if you can remember, I originally said that there is a self-doubt in the beginning of this, which causes a lack of confidence. And then after you have the lack of confidence, it causes us in our lack of confidence to make poor choices and bad decisions. And then we have a distrust of self. Here's the thing though, when attractions come up, we just don't realize that the unseen energy that's conjured in our soul, in our living soul, it has us so frustrated inside that we're concerned that, ooh, I don't know, I like this person, but I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know, whatever. And all of that self-doubt that you have for you is now passed on to your attractions that you have outside of you. So now when we are attracted, we're attracting a person from our personal self-doubt. So now you most likely are attracting people that also share in their own personal self-doubts. So now we have self-doubt plus self-doubt. Okay, so now we have these two coming together, and that is where the self-doubt is now magnified in that relationship. So I want you guys to think about something, because I don't think a lot of times we do. If you notice, when we are not assured, or we are not confident, or we are not high in our self-love, we have a tendency to be what? Insecure, right? Insecure. So now we have insecurity. When we have insecurity, let me explain something to you. I'm going to go back down through the list again so you get what I'm saying. So remember, the first part of this is self-doubt. We're going to talk about this. Self-doubt. Then you're going to what? Have the lack of confidence due to your self-doubt. Then you're going to make poor choices and bad decisions. And then you're going to distrust yourself. You're going to 9 times out of 10 attract somebody sharing the same self-doubt, because attractions outside of you come from what's inside of you. So now you have a self-doubt added to another person in self-doubt. So now you have a whole relationship with insecurity. Now, let's talk about insecurity, shall we? So if we have usually a real hard time with being in a relationship, and in that relationship, we're wanting to have them make us feel something. We want that lover or that attraction that we have. We want them to fulfill something inside our soul that we lack in ourselves. What I mean by that is we want a lot of romance. We want a lot of kissing and hugging and getting it on. We want a lot of the attention. We want a lot of gifts. We want a lot of trips and going places. We want a lot of activity. We want a lot of things to keep us in awe of the lover we are now attracted to. However, what we're not understanding is, yes, we have this attraction, but the problem is in the attraction, we're not facing the fact that our self-doubt that we aren't looking into is one of the reasons why our relationships start to go south. And when I say south, I mean they're going down. They're not going too well. Okay. So our relationships are going south. Why are they going south? Well, because now when the trips are over, the hugging, the kissing, the honeymoon, if we shall, the honeymoon phase of the relationship kind of goes away. And now we decide that we are together, we are in this relationship, and now we decide that we are one on one and we are what we are, and we define it, right? Now we have what I would say is a whole lot of relationship with a whole lot of self-doubt and insecurity. Now it's going south because, of course, when we don't have confidence, we have a lot of poor choices we're making and bad decisions. Now we don't realize that, man, I'm successful in my job, career, and everywhere else, but in my love affairs, I'm not. I understand that. But the problem is, the reason why is because of your self-doubt, that you don't really know how important you are. When you have a relationship or you have someone that you're involved with or you're in something, believe it or not, when we first conceive a relationship or it first, starts, you see that in our minds, what we say to ourselves will affect how that relationship develops, believe it or not. And it's something that we don't see. It's not something we talk about. It's just something either we feel inside because we're not sure or unsure about, well, I don't even know why he would want to be with me, or I don't even know if she's even the girl for me. I don't even know if she's my type, or this is a person that I like and I dig and I enjoy, but I'm not really sure if she's someone I like. But yet and still, you want them to hold you to a high regard. You expect for them to make sure that you are prioritized, right? So when you do that, that's fine. However, you're having a high expectation because you're not really in high confidence that you should even be in this relationship because of what? Like I said earlier, our own personal self-doubt and lack of confidence. And it doesn't happen overnight. What you don't understand is the self-doubt and insecurity happens because we don't really understand that we must cultivate a self-assurance and a self-confidence in our soul before entering into a relationship. Because if not, we're going to try to make that man or make that make that man or make your lover your life. When you do this, everything goes left. It's never positive. It's never good. And unfortunately, so many people have people misplaced because they're trying to make that person make them feel better. And I have a news flash for you. No one can make you feel amazing, phenomenal. I mean, you just have to learn to do that within your own personal soul. That's something you have to do and develop. And in order to do that, it requires for a lot of real development of some things that you need to do. So let's get down to why do we seem to find ourselves struggling with lack of confidence? Where does that actually come from? How do we get to this place of not really being assured of ourselves, or we're uncomfortable around people that we think maybe have more money or have more degrees or more, more appealing to other people? How do we get in these mindsets that we are not enough in our soul or in our spirit because someone else we might see as a better version in their soul? Well, because oftentimes self-doubt will cause us to self-sabotage. When we self-sabotage, what we end up doing is we end up feeling a way about someone else's rise, someone else doing better, someone else getting to that higher self, and we're struggling just to get get up in the morning. But we see someone else rising up and doing well. Well, here's what I always like to tell my clients and tell, even friends or family. I always like to encourage them to make sure that you understand your value comes from your own personal purpose. I mean, we have a purpose in life. So if we don't know why we are here, then a lot of times we're going to find ourselves trying to, I don't know, pacify ourselves with someone else, or pacify ourselves with being in a role we're in. What I mean by that is we might find ourselves always rushing, always hoping to be in a relationship, or we're rushing and hoping to be a mom or a parent, or hoping to be in that position at that job or whatever, so that we can feel fulfilled temporarily, so that we can feel that fulfillment. Problem is, a lot of times we don't realize that those are temporary fixes. That's not really a continuum. That won't be a continuum in your soul of fulfillment and joy. So I want you to understand and hear what I'm saying. We must understand that the self-doubt conjured in the soul is due to you not knowing your purpose. Regardless of the lover you're involved with, or the men or women that you're challenged, you're treating yourself to spend time with, all of that's fine and well and good. However, we must realize that the truth of the matter is, no matter what happens, you have to be mindful that the confidence won't come until you begin to know why you're here. And yes, I said it. Know why you're here. What are you here to do? We all have a price to pay while we're here on the planet. It's not just for free. I know that might seem like it is, but it's not. And if you find yourself insecure and have trust issues in every relationship you're in, you're always bickering, always jealous, always mad, always frustrated because you feel that you should have certain things and you're not getting them, and now you're disappointed. All of that comes from lack of self-confidence and constantly having self-doubt. This is the reason why this happens. So I want you to think about something, because the show is pretty much almost over. Listen to me. In order to get the real joy from any relationship, in order to really get the real joy in any relationship, I strongly suggest to look for your purpose. Look to see why you're here and what you're here to do. That is going to be the number one way to really rid of these trust issues you have in these relationships. That's going to help you rid of your self-doubt in these relationships. That's going to help you really curtail a lot of your poor decisions you're making and poor choices. Now, here's a skinny I want you to take home with you. Or even if you are home, take this up. Bad decisions and poor choices also will cause us to make bad partner choices. So remember I said earlier that our lack of confidence will have us connected or, get attracted to people that have also the same self-doubt without us even realizing it. So our poor choices will develop even worse off if we're not careful and checking in with our own soul to know if our self-doubt has been rectified. Has our self-doubt been improved? What did we do to fix it? Have we fixed it? Let me explain something to you. This is very important. One of the greatest ways to improve your self-doubt and lack of confidence is to get back to life. There's a lot of people that, yes, they're living, they're breathing, but they're not. I'm sorry, they're existing, but they're not living. They're just existing. They're walking dead, like I always call it. They're not really here. They're just walking and talking, but they're not really living. And the reason is because they don't know why they're here or their purpose. And here's what I often say. I don't know if you know me or not, but if you don't, let me explain to you something I practice every day. It is my mantra I call smile. So, my smile mantra stands for study, meditate, inspire, laugh, and elevate every single day while you are here on the planet. It is the mantra that I live by. It is the mantra that I suggest anybody I care about does. This mantra will change your life. Trust me. I mean, it will really change your life if you practice doing the smile mantra every single day. So that means studying something, exercising your intelligence, study, learn, research. It doesn't always mean that you have to read a bunch of books every single day, but it does require for you to do some research on what you're trying to do. Why are you here? What are you here to do? Start to get curious and inquire in your soul. Why am I here? What's so great about why did I even come to be? What was that about? For what? What was the purpose? When you start to take a journey to find out that purpose, I'm telling you right now, you will find yourself jumping out of bed. You will find yourself okay with lacking in sleep. You don't care about not sleeping. You don't care about anything else but figuring out why I've been asleep so long and not paying attention to what I need to do. And you can find out, oh my God, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm supposed to be doing this. And once you get here, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. And you're going to find yourself now doing the opposite of what we talked about earlier. Remember, I said that in your insecurity, your relationship will go south, right? Well, imagine that if you are no longer insecure and now you are no longer doubting yourself, you are now confident in how you think, how you make clear decisions. You're more confident that you can do things. You're now confident in being in a room full of amazing people and feel like I got it. I'm not feeling uncomfortable. I feel amazing. I feel like I'm good. I'm not feeling not at I'm feeling not like I'm not at ease. I feel okay around people that are amazing people. I don't feel in any lack. That's when you know, ooh, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. So now my insecurity and my self-doubt is starting to diminish because now guess what? I'm in my purpose. So here's what I continue to encourage. If you want a good love affair, you can have it without a shadow of doubt. But here's what you have to remember. To get that love affair, you have to first learn to trust you. In order to trust yourself, you have to begin to tap into your purpose. And you may not know your purpose right away. I mean, it may take some time to get there, and that's fine and okay. But just remember, be in seek of that. And I'm going to give you something for free before I leave. If you don't get anything else, Here's what's important. We all have something that we're good at. All of us have something that we are good at, okay? And in our own personal talents is the secret to finding our purpose. Thank you all for being here. I'm so glad you showed up. Like I said, this is my first episode. I just am grateful that you came and spent some time with me. And you actually smiled and sipped a little bit with me. Make sure, like I said, to share this because this is very important. Many people look to love to feel amazing, but they really don't realize the amazing starts with their love of self first. Okay? So I appreciate everybody for being here. Listen, again, make sure that you visit my website, smileandsip.com. Make sure to share this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. My channel is Coaching Matters. And I appreciate everybody for being here. Have a very great evening. This is your coach, Carla Nicole. Have a good night.